I really don't like making this sort of video, but I feel like I have to with the current situation that's happening. I think my channel is a happy place where people go to laugh, and I don't really want them to feel as if I'm dampening the mood with something like this. But I feel like what I say now is something that needs to be said, and I hope that everyone listening understands that and respects my opinion just as I respect theirs. Lately I've come across a lot of things in the fandom that I'm not really too proud of to be associated with that. There's a lot of hatred towards Telltale games, and personally I think it's wrong. The Walking Dead game means a lot to me, and without it I wouldn't be the person I am today. So to see people hurt the company that made it, it's kind of upsetting in a way. There's been a lot of backlash on Twitter, and as someone that's on there daily, it's a little hard to see. I wanted to make a few jokes in this video, but I don't think I can because I'm being serious here. This is something that shouldn't be happening. I've always seen the fandom as something special, and seeing people in that fandom kick off because of certain things aren't going their way in the games that Telltale make, that's wrong. I understand that people can be upset with certain things, such as a character getting a difficult death or doing something that they didn't like. But at the end of the day, that's up to the video game company, not them. People coming up with these bizarre concepts, saying things like, Telltale reuse their models, yada yada yada. Yes, Telltale reuse their models. So does every other game company. I mean, why are they complaining about it now when Season 1, all of the walkers pretty much look the same. Bandits, they all look the same. Like, if you hadn't noticed, Bandit number 2 and Bandit number 8 were the exact same person. Even though Bandit number 2 had already been shot before the St. John's Dairy. Like, you know, it baffles me that people are only complaining about it now. There's people complaining about the option to betray Clementine. Season 3 was built so people that hadn't played the previous games could experience the Walking Dead game for the first time. That's why there's an option to betray Clementine. Because people that haven't known her since 2012 only know her for being part of the New Frontier. They don't know all of her backstory, do they? That's the whole point. That's what Telltale wanted to do. They wanted to create a story that people could pick up from this point without having to go back and play all of the other games. I highly recommend we'll go and play the other games because they are fantastic, but what I'm trying to get at is that was Telltale's USP. They said, look, it's not even called Season 3, unlike Walking Dead Season 1, Walking Dead Season 2. No, this one's The Walking Dead A New Frontier. It was built for people that haven't played the previous games, which is fair enough, which is actually a really good marketing strategy. I saw things like people complaining about how the game doesn't look very good on Android or Apple, and it's not supported by certain versions. That's understandable because the engine's new, it's a little bit odd. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, not supporting older generation consoles, but I think that was a bad move on their part because they did say it a little bit late, but I see why they did it. You've got to move on at some point. It's 2016, we've had next-gen consoles for how long now? Not next-gen, they're current-gen. It's not like the PS4's only been out for, say, like 3 months or something. You've had a long time. I mean, there's some people complaining about how Telltale are trying to make us like new characters when all they really wanted was Clementine. Yeah, that's fair enough. I understand that. People love Clementine. Clementine's a great character, but you've got to give room for other characters to advance the story. You can't just have one main character and ignore everyone else. You need people like Javier in this season. It's a fresh start. That's what you need to have a successful game. You need to have new characters that people can learn to love, and as I said before, people that haven't played the past 2 seasons, they'll treat Javier how maybe you treated Clem in Season 1, same sort of thing. They'll learn to love him and love the other characters around him, whereas you love Clementine and you've learned to love the other characters around her. I understand people are upset about the flashbacks and things like that. I personally agree that the flashbacks weren't exactly the greatest thing I've ever seen from Telltale. Sure, it was a little bit lazy, but let's be honest, If all of our choices from Season 2 were to completely matter, we would have like 4 or 5 separate games. Now, I don't work in the video game industry, but I know that it's bloody hard to get everything done in time and schedules. And if you were to create 5 separate games for 5 people's endings, that's a little bit excessive. Games from Quantic Dream, such as David Cage games, they usually don't have sequels to them. Like, you see games like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, they don't have sequels because they have so many connectors inside of them that create the story that is virtually impossible to make a sequel, because you've got to take into account every single tiny choice that everyone makes in order to create the sequel. There's like 20-something endings to Heavy Rain. That's like making 20 different games for people. That would take a lot of work, and that's kind of what they did with Telltale. So what they did in Season 3 is they made it playable, so you could have any ending from Season 2, and then it all boils down to one particular point, which is what I believed from the very beginning of Season 3's announcement. Telltale was smart in a way for doing that. Else they would have spent a lot of time doing nothing and we wouldn't get Season 3 this soon. I know people are saying we've waited years for it, sure, but it's boiled down to a particular point, which I think is very smart in a way. And the way they did it for new players on Season 3, or A New Frontier, whatever you want to call it, they gave everyone the same option of being alone, which was a very good, viable option for everyone, because they got to learn about AJ and how she's looking after him. It was an important stepping stone into Season 3. Gave everyone the option to enjoy it, no matter who they were and what they'd played in previous seasons and previous games or whatever. One thing I really dislike about Season 3 is previous players coming back to the game and basically attacking Javier for just being there. Now, it sounds ridiculous, but they're complaining about how there's not enough Clementine, but Clementine's literally there, like, the majority of the time. She is the main protagonist, in a way. I mean, Javier's the main protagonist, but she's off to the side, and she's pretty much there all the time. Like, there's even that scene in episode 2 where Javier's in the car with Kate, and Clem goes and tells Javier that she's leaving. She leaves, and then, like, 2 seconds later, she's, like, in the background just creeping on them all.
What the fuck?
Like, she's there. She's genuinely there. It's upsetting to see people say that she's not there. She didn't even have to be a part of this season. The only reason she's there is for fan service. Let's be honest with that. If she wasn't there, a lot of people from previous seasons probably wouldn't have bought the game. But since she is there, people are buying the game. I love Javier. I think he's a great character. But one problem with the season I find is people are more than likely going to stay on Clem's side because they know her, which doesn't really give Javier a chance. Like, there's that choice in episode 1 where you have to choose between staying with Clementine or helping your family. I mean, your family's practically begging you to stay. These are people that you've been with for the entirety of the apocalypse. There was like a 95% of people decided that Javier would rather take revenge on these people with some teenage girl he's met like 2 minutes ago over being with his family he loves and cares about. I don't know, it just seems a little off, but that's just personal opinion. It honestly upsets me to see people saying all these things about Telltale, because it's clear that they put a couple of years into this. I don't think we should be attacking Telltale personally, because they are a really good games company and they've come from very little beginnings, and now the majority of people heard about them. They've had this Game of the Year in 2012, I think? I'm not quite sure, maybe 2013? I know they got Game of the Year for Walking Dead Game Season 1 because that was fantastic, but they're always making games from already licensed products, which means that they have a few limitations when it comes to creating video games. For example, with The Walking Dead, they can't cross over too much with certain things in the comic timeline, and with other games such as The Wolf Among Us, they had to stick to the comics in a way, stick with the storyline and timeline. With Batman, they had a little bit more freedom because it wasn't connected to anything in a way. but the Batman universe is so big that, you know, you could pretty much do anything on single storylines. But I have high hope for Telltale and the rest of Season 3. I personally quite enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Season 3. Yeah, there was some flaws. There was definitely some flaws there. I'm not gonna say there isn't, because there was, but not enough for me to go and complain and say things like Telltale's over, no. Because personally, I know that Telltale mean a lot to some people, and they mean a lot to me because of the games that they create, and I'd like them to know that. Without their games, I probably wouldn't be who I am today, really, and I'm extremely thankful for that. I've met some absolutely amazing people. I've even gone to the point of meeting them amazing people in person rather than just on the internet. They're the sort of friendships for life I'm gonna remember because of just this video game, and that's super important to me. So please do not take any of this to heart. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. I'm just trying to state some points about what people are saying and maybe clear some things up for everyone. These are my own personal opinions, and if you don't like them, that's fine. You have your right to your own. But as I see it, Telltale are doing the best they can with what they have, and they are doing just fine. This has been UrbanBoatingLee. I'm sorry to not make a funny video and it be deadly serious, but this is something that's quite important and I want everyone to be informed on it. Feel free to share your opinions in the comments, but please do not argue. I don't really want that. This is a happy place. I try to make this happy, try and make this a funny place for people to hang out and share videos, and I wouldn't want it to be a place of hatred and arguments. So please, for the love of God, see other people's points of views before you debunk them completely. I hope everyone has a nice day. Thank you.